All right, Richard and Scott, you may wince at this one, but this from Siena here, a look at a prospective head-to-head between Governor Cuomo and Westchester County Executive, and what many are saying, a rising star in Republican ranks, Rob Astorino, who many people say would maybe be the best shot for Republicans on a statewide race, and that conducted about a week and a half ago with the folks at Siena. Okay, it begs the question, and both you guys have seen this, and Scott, I mean, there have been some not ready for primetime candidates that have run for statewide office representing the Republican banner in New York. I know it's a blue state, but if we can manage to have Republican mayors in New York City, right, you would think, whether it be self-funded or otherwise, there could be better candidates, more Republican donor enthusiasm or something, but, you know, Rob Astorino's got a tough decision, and you know he's conflicted about it, in that if he runs and loses big, does that hurt him, or does he run and get more statewide appeal, so whatever office he chooses to seek in the future, at least, you know, he's gotten his name out there. But why can't Republicans mount more serious challenges, whether it be for U.S. Senator or governor or even Attorney General?
Well, it's a good question, and they can't answer it, of course. They've been struggling with it. If you think, though, most county executives in the state of New York, and there are 18 of them at this point, are Republicans. So it's not that they don't have a bench, it's that for some reason or another the message hasn't been properly delivered. Now, Rob is a very attractive candidate, in my opinion. He's very articulate. He understands the issues. Obviously, he's done well winning in Westchester.
And if I could, just as folks who may not know, Westchester is more Democrats registered than Republicans by a pretty healthy margin, and he won by more than 10 points the last election. So he can win in a blue area.
He can, and he has some of the right issues, especially for upstate New York. And if those can resonate, then it's likely that some folks will invest in his candidacy. And that's, you know, that's the issue, is how much money you can raise. That is, whether people think you can actually win the race. But he's articulate, and he's good at that kind of thing. So it may be that he can generate this, and I think he's looking at this right now, generate this momentum that says, yes, I'm going to pick up some all across the state, pick up some extra money. I think the governor's made an enormous mistake with this quote about conservative, you know, the conservatives
well,
and what
ramped
have
up the base, and I think we all agree, probably wish he had that one back. But that said, U.S. Senator, that's something that is the third act or second act for highly successful people for the last century and a half in this country. To that end, Wendy Long, no disrespect to her and some of the other names we've seen recently, you're telling me there's not one multi-millionaire who says, I can be a U.S. Senator and I can almost run unopposed in a Republican primary as long as I get the Conservative Party not to drag me down? I got to have a fighting chance. I mean, I never understood why, you know, Gillibrand wasn't challenged more strongly. I thought she was highly vulnerable, and the best they could do was Long. I mean, I never got that.
Yeah, no, I think a lot of us thought that way. Remember, too, at that point, the Republicans and conservatives were doing their kabuki dance about who was going to be the candidate. But you're right, there aren't a lot of millionaires who are willing to join the public service, and part of it is because it's nasty. It can be very nasty. It requires a lot of time away and what have you. But we just haven't been able to generate those kind of candidates statewide for anything.
How much do they get scared off by the equivalence of when the Palladinos of the world were in there and they say, my God, this is a child of, you know, with all due respect, Mr. Long and the rest from the Conservative Party, who create this like hurdle where you have to be Tea Party, you know, basically blessed to make it through the gauntlet to be the general candidate. I mean, how much of that's a problem?
I don't think that's as big a problem. Remember, I'm more of a moderate Republican, which don't really exist in the rest of the nation.
Endangered species, yeah.
But the Conservative Party endorsed because of certain issues that I agreed with them on. I don't think that's it, but I do think there is a real sacrifice these days in public service and running for political office. And so you've got to get somebody who's willing to do that, who has the ego to drive, you know, the train, and then, of course, as in this case, who can convince people that he's winning. Now, you go $30 or $32 million in Governor Cuomo's bank account. That's an awful disincentive for almost anyone.
And then you look at our current U.S. Senator, well, Chuck Schumer, who's a very good retail politician and is very difficult to beat, and hasn't had a major scandal or something that will hurt him that you can pick up on and ride some momentum with. I think with the governor is actually vulnerable in another sense, getting back to state politics. When you look at what's happening upstate in the economy, that turnaround hasn't happened fast enough. Those casinos aren't coming fast enough. Fracking issue has been delayed.
The only other name I hear other than Rob's is Donald Trump.
Okay.
And I know he's doing this for self-promotion.
Yeah,
Please don't even get me started. But my point is, you would think there'd be people lined up to say, I can beat this governor. He's going to have a tougher 14 than he had in the 13. Between now and November, I can take him on. He's going to be pulled to his left from the I can make all the arguments. But yet, you don't have anybody who's going to say, like you do in Connecticut, like you do in California, like you do in so many other places, I'll plunk down. I mean, Linda McMahon, say what you want. She went in her own pocket in Connecticut for 40, 50 million. You don't have nobody like that in New York.
But make no mistake about it, going against Governor Cuomo with $33 million, and who's popular still, but it will be a bloodbath. And some people will say, I'd rather make my $30 million and make my money.
Let me go
than
through
get
some
into
races
politics.
here, and you guys chime in on where we think they are the best chances for either a Republican pickup or for a flip on the other side. 18th District, you got Nan Hayworth, frequent guest of the show, preparing for a rematch with Sean Patrick Maloney, another guest of this program quite a bit. That's going to be interesting to watch, don't you think, Dom?
Yes, two very good candidates, but the problem for Nan Hayworth, she hasn't established a rationale to get rid of the new incumbent congressman.
And also, is she Tea Party, is she not? It's kind of changed
Well,
over
she's
the
going to
last
be running
couple
away
seconds.
from that dance this time.
Absolutely. Into the 19th we go, and Democrat Sean Eldridge trying to unseat two-term Republican Chris Gibson. This is going to be an uphill challenge for a Democrat who's also got legitimate questions of carpetbagging and everything else, right?
Yeah, a lot of money there, though, so that becomes a really important factor in that race.
And to the 11th, where you have a New York City Councilman, how do I even say this, Dominic? Recchia, thank you, who's going after the man who threatens to throw people off of balconies, Michael Grimm. Does Recchia have a chance here? Does anybody have a chance?
If Grimm, look, it's a conservative district.
Well, is Grimm's bigger worry, Fasella in a primary, or is it Recchia in a general?
I would be more of Fasella in a primary than
Yes.
Recchia. Especially if Grimm continues to explode, there will be issues there. But if I'm the Democrat there, I'm going to take the chance because we never know what happens in politics. There's still federal investigations going on with Grimm's people. You never know what happens. So if you're going to run, this will be an ideal time because something may explode and you may be end up the next congressman because of something happening.
Well, and Staten Island is very loyal to the folks they elect.
That's very true. Staten Island, Brooklyn, yeah. But I'm saying, absent that, if there could be an explosion, something could happen. You never know.
All right, when we come back, New York may be used to it, but this weekend, New Jersey takes center stage. We're going to talk about the big game at MetLife coming up after this.